Racket number 2, Biden administration targets housing supply shortage with affordable housing plan. I have a feeling over the next...
Has any of that yet to work?
We haven't seen it.
I mean, we've seen multiple variations. This is not a political thing. We've seen multiple variations of Republican or Democrat try the same thing. I'm yet to see any one of them work at scale, but man, does it entice a percentage of the population to say, I like that guy.
Exactly. And this is a Wall Street Journal article. There is a paywall, but Inman had a paywall too. So both of these have a paywall, but we'll link it up if you're subscribed.
Yeah, I was able to get a link through whitehouse.gov. So you can link
there you
that
go.
in there too.
Yeah, so you can find this information. The point of bringing this up, Tom, is that you're going to hear a lot of this over the next 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Housing is unaffordable. True.
Yep.
Right. We need more affordable housing. We need to build a plan. Both sides of the aisle are going to talk about this. They probably won't follow through because it's a complicated issue after the fact. But they're both going to talk about it. So on a national, state, and local level, how involved, informed should an agent be on these plans for their community?
So how involved should they be, or how informed should they be?
Both. How involved and how informed.
So I would make sure you read both sides of the aisle. I'd be paying attention to what everybody's talking about. And the thing I would argue for, if you go back to that millennial data like we talked about, there's an interesting, let's just call it minor trend amongst millennials, which says they would go with any brand about 65% of the time that are aligned with them politically or in their beliefs. So one might hear that and say, oh my goodness, then I'm going to pick a side and I'm going to go with that one, probably picking your political side. My challenge with that is, I don't think for us in this industry, it's about being political, right? Why polarize half the population?
That's right.
I think of some of the best agents on the planet, and what they say, like, look, politics is that's your thing. My job is to help you find a house. My job is to be a fiduciary and be responsible to help you make a good decision to buy, to sell, to invest, etc. And they keep politics out of it, right? To me, that's probably the more intelligent route. I would argue right now, I would probably do that same thing. I'd be screenshotting both sides and saying, what do you guys think? And then I would probably go back if I was a real steward of real estate history, I would go back 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. And I would pick both sides of the aisle and I would just show, let's just look at a 20-year case study of Republicans said this 20 years ago, Dem said this 20 years ago, Republicans said this 15 years ago, Dem said, and I would just show them and say,
and then let them, sorry, go ahead.
No, say it.
No. I was just saying, and then let them sort of obviously come up with their own internal sort of conversation. And that obviously is allowing you to sort of keep the line of not crossing either.
Right.
Clear.
And I know there's someone right now that is just a diehard like fanatic for politics. Good on you. Good on you. You've heard me say this before, made money under Clinton, made money under Bush, made money under Obama, made money under Trump. I think for entrepreneurs and business people, we just need to say to ourselves, I'm going to focus on my clients and not pay attention to the noise that doesn't matter. Because those kind of headlines are only designed for one thing, click. And am I playing to my base?
Yeah.
Right. And my argument is housing is too fundamentally important. There's too many fundamental issues in our country to get wrapped up on one or two and make that your stance that you go nuts over. My mentors would always say the same thing. You want to solve problems? Make your own bed. Yeah. Clean your own house, take care of your own family, then take care of your street, then take care of your neighborhood, then figure out a way to make a difference in your local community. But to try and fight this kind of national stuff, to me, is not worthwhile.
So how can you make a difference in your local community as an agent? Because home ownership is shrinking.
No doubt.
Right. So 1 out of 4 buyers this year are investors.
30% of the Phoenix market is owned by investors.
Yeah. DJ said Jacksonville's the same thing.
Same thing.
Over 30% as well.
Yeah.
So it's getting harder and harder for a first-time home buyer, even if they have money, even if they are qualified to buy. So from an agent team brokerage perspective, in your local market, what can you do to solve the affordability issue? Builders can't build for what is considered affordable in most markets.
I don't know the exact number, but I would be taking a stab at it. If you look at plexes, you look at multi-unit, 100-plex buildings. Maybe it's time for us to relook at the way we did. And again, I can acknowledge
they talk about tiny homes in this Wall Street article.
Tiny homes, but also turning all those apartment buildings into condo conversions. Mm-hmm. Now, somebody right now is going to say, oh my God, I remember that was happening in 2004, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
And that was a problem. And I would say, no, the condo conversions weren't the problem. The mortgage product mix was the problem. Right. So maybe it's that, because again, whether it's tiny homes, which I've got lots of friends that like in Oakland, we're doing that, in Seattle, we're doing that. But I think it's going to be hard for any government, including ours, to try and mandate some kind of federal or state law that says this is how housing has to be.
Because of all these local rules. It talks about local zoning and land use regulations. If I'm an agent, I might want to report on the monthly minutes of what's going on in my town. We talked about that with the team recently, Nicole.
Yep.
A great piece of content might be actually getting involved in the zoning meeting every single month.
I love that. I also love, on a tactical level, longtime client and friend Jim Allen, who would take his entire marketplace and figure out what homes were zoned for 2 but only had 1, zoned for 3 and only had 1. And he would literally map out the entire neighborhood and start marketing and mailing and doing, because he knew if he took that one house, whether he bought it, which he does a lot of himself, and then redevelop it, building 2 or 3 more, he's creating inventory for people.
Yeah,
and maybe on a micro level, that's something that every local agent could say, let me just look at my marketplace and figure out what's everything zoned for. And then can I be a force for good? And the good news is that because you're helping so many people, you're also going to make a lot of money in the process.
Yeah, I love that. Hey guys, appreciate you checking out this episode of The Real Word. If you want the full episode, go over to the Broke Agent YouTube. That's where we're hosting the full podcast. If you want to continue to see the segments broken out and the short clips, stay right here on The Real Word YouTube.